Hello all, and welcome to the very first episode of the Fire Pro Online podcast with me, Derek Beck. For those discovering this for the first time, Fire Pro Online, FPO for short, is a player versus player Fire Pro Wrestling World promotion with monthly shows being hosted on YouTube. Appearing on the shows yourself is as easy as joining the FPO Discord server, where you can find even more information, such as show dates, match schedules, the full roster list, areas where you can cut your own promos, and so on. Links to both the YouTube and Discord pages are in the description below. And with the intro stuff out of the way, let's get straight into what happened at Last Call, FPO's most recent pay-per-view held at Chicago, Illinois. If you haven't watched it already, I suggest you do so first, to avoid both spoilers and confusion as to what I will be talking about. It was a night of very impressive debuts, the first two being JB and yours truly as FPO's new commentary team, but the main one being the new women's champion, Hara Kiri. Hara had been scouted by FPO's CEO, Tejano X, during his time wrestling Japan, and he was extremely impressed with what he saw from her, considering her a perfect fit for FPO and giving her his full backing. Now, not every wrestler who becomes a pet project, so to speak, ends up living up to the hype, but so far, Hara has repaid the faith put into her by pinning former women's champion Sakura Chiyoko in a hard-fought fatal four-way where Hara was, admittedly, far from the strongest competitor out there. Some say that she was lucky that Jessica Stevenson, who was also in that match, was unable to break up the pin thanks to inadvertently taking a poison mist attack from the fourth woman in that match, Kara Suika, who was trying to break up the pin herself. Whatever the case, we shall see if Hara is able to retain the title next time it's put on the line. It was also an impressive debut for Enrico Volkov, who is the latest addition to Park in the Park Thomas's so-called Park Pack. Enrico, who is proficient in both boxing and wrestling, picked up a victory in a no-DQ match against fellow debutant Doc Clown, who is not officially signed to FPO and, if the rumour mill has it, is unlikely to earn himself a full-time contract anytime soon. Parker himself had a good night in general, both picking up a victory against FPO's ringside announcer and interviewer Skim Jim, and, with the help of his Park Pack, confirming once and for all his plan to dethrone Tejano X as CEO, something that has been no secret for a while now. For those not in the know, Parker is a former wrestling promoter himself, having ran a developmental league by the name of Parker Thomas Wrestling before being bought out by Tejano. Enrico Volkov was even the top guy at PTW before the buyout, and was supposedly the only guy, bar Parker, that Tejano was willing to give a new contract to. Going back to Parker's match, as well as gunning for Tejano's job, he also put out a warning to Stitch, who Parker had lost the fight to at Fright or Fight, and is now seeking revenge against. Speaking of Stitch, he himself picked up a victory that night, having challenged his own manager, Chris Tedsy Teds, to a last man standing match, which had Tedsy's managerial contract on the line. This feud started when Stitch, briefly wrestling under the alliance of El Atormentador de Maniaco, squandered a golden opportunity to claim the FPO Grand Championship at Pura Fuerza, where he lost a 2 out of 3 falls match against Mateo Arroyo. During that match, Tedsy interfered in the second round, helping Stitch to win that round and remaining within a chance of winning the title. Tetsuya, to his credit, showed some good wrestling skill that night in Mexico, but made the mistake of thinking that his performance somehow proved that he can mix it up with the big guys. Despite having lost every other wrestling match he ever competed in bar one, where he picked up his only victory after his opponent accidentally KO'd himself attempting a top rope moonsault. Whether Stitch and Tetsuya have kissed and made up after all this remains to be seen, but here's hoping that Tetsuya has learned not to overestimate his ability in the future. The match of the night easily went to Zack Roper's victory against Azazel, who had kidnapped Zack's girlfriend, Carmilla, weeks prior in retaliation to Mortius being locked in a casket at Fright or Fight. Again, if you haven't watched that match yet, please do. It's easily a classic, with an insane amount of very close calls. As of recording this, Zack is currently dominating as champion at Wrestling Cup Classic, another Fire Pro Wrestling World promotion, and one that FPO have done plenty of cross-promotion with. I, personally, would like to see Zack's challenge for the FPO Grand Championship, as he clearly has the ability, but sources close to Zack claim that he is currently content with being the top dog at WCC for the time being, although this has yet to be confirmed by Zack himself. The other talking point of that match was the officiating of FPO's main match official, Mick Mahoney, who had been temporarily suspended for most of the night after having been caught accepting a bribe from Elijah Stone during a number one's contenders match between him, Robbie Cox, and Diamond Knees Trevista at Pura Fuerza. The general consensus is that Mick's officiating at last call was absolutely stellar, although there is suspicion that it was only because no one had bribed him that night. But the last bit of news is also the biggest. Mateo Arroyo's streak is over. Mateo had been holding on to the FPO Grand Championship since Vitality, having won it against Lucas Levette in a steel cage death match after the title had been vacated by FPO's first Grand Champion, Nero Sin, whose contract had been terminated due to no showing that pay-per-view. He then went on to defending against Kuro Godoy at Fright or Fight, then against Stitch at Pura Fuerza. However, having to face more than one opponent in the ring seemed to be his undoing, as he was the one who ultimately ate the pin to lose the title. The new FPO Grand Championship is now Lucas Levette, gaining a modicum of revenge, having been beaten by Mateo the first time round. Lucas, who had interfered in Stitch's match earlier on, reluctantly according to inside sources, capitalised on the aftermath of a huge reversal by Mateo onto Trevista, who had won the opportunity to appear in the match by default at Pura Fuerza. The reversal, a sunset flip powerbomb pin off the top rope, was broken up by Lucas, who then saw that Mateo had gassed himself out performing the move, and so made a pin attempt of his own. Trevista then tried to break up that pin attempt with one of his trademark diamond knees, but attempted too fancy a move and ended up catching nothing but air. Speaking after the match, Trevista has said that he rues his costly mistake and has vowed to make no such mistakes again. Either way, we shall see if Lucas is able to match or even surpass Mateo's run with the belt. Overall, early signs show that the pay-per-view has generally been well received by the fans, with the only gripe being the amount of ugly post-match brawls that has occurred during the show. In a statement made on FPO's website and social media feeds after the show, Tejano X had admitted that a few wrestlers had legit gone into business for themselves, singling out Trevista and Jessica Stevenson in particular, who will no doubt be given hefty fines for their conduct. Dog Clown was also rumoured to have gone off script during his post-match brawl with Enrico Volkov, furthering the speculation that a full-time contract will be out of the question for him. As much as some fans might enjoy the fights FPO put on, I'm certain that they expect a level of professionalism from the performers, and I just hope that Tejano can sort out the lack of discipline that was shown that night. Which leads us on to what's coming up next for FPO. What has already been confirmed is that the next event will be the debutante of Fuego, a television show that will appear in between pay-per-views, with the first one being held in Miami, Florida. Early booking seems to suggest a match between the teams of Fuerza Iberica, consisting of Cura Godoy and El Valiente, and Royal Flush, consisting of Mateo and Manolito Arroyo, in what will no doubt be for the newly created Tag Team Championship. Matches also on the cards include Harakiri defending the Women's Championship against previous title holder Sakura Chiyoko, a match involving Trevista and a mystery opponent, a surprise multi-man open challenge hosted by Chris Teddy Teds, and a potential rematch between Stitch and Tejano X, who had faced each other previously at Vitality in a match that was voted the fans' favourite of the night on FPO's website. Also confirmed are a number of new signings to FPO. The biggest of these signings is the team of Carnage, C4 for short, consisting of Raymond Patterson, Wesley Buchanan, and their manager Mason Murdoch. All three have been signed by Tejano X in an effort to bolster FPO's newly created tag team division. Tejano has also signed Jake Fury, a main eventer at Wrestling Cup Classic, looking to also main event FPO. Finally, Randy Gordo and Jobinaut, also from WCC, are aiming to continue their survival of the fattest rivalry with each other in FPO surroundings. Speaking of WCC, Tejano X hinted at a cross-promotion title defense during last call, having recently won the WCC North Atlantic Championship. As a recording, he still has the belt, so seeing a WCC title defense at FPO is a possibility, considering that nearly all of FPO's roster also wrestle at WCC. When that title defense will happen is largely dependent on whether Tejano is able to hold on to it long enough, but more news should appear in due time. No news, however, on what the next actual pay-per-view will be. Early ideas floated around indicate that Tejano X might take FPO outside the US once again to try and gain more overseas appeal. A fan-made Twitter poll has Montreal, Canada as the favourite to host the next pay-per-view, with Tokyo, Japan at a close second, London, England also being touted as a potential host, and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia seemingly added in as a joke. There's also no news on who Lucas Levet will defend his title against. Former champion Mateo Arroyo is the obvious choice, despite revealing recently that his contract did not include a guaranteed rematch clause if he lost the title. Zach Roper is the fan's choice, what with his popularity at WCC, but inside sources suggest that seems unlikely. Lucas himself has ruled out Stitch having another shot at the title on a fan forum, citing an incident between them during the first and only match they had together when they were working in the Indies. The story goes that Stitch was supposed to do a Phoenix splash off a ladder onto Lucas, who was laid across the table during the match, but was too intoxicated to perform the move properly and ended up nearly giving the both of them career-ending injuries. Stitch, for his part, has never disputed the validity of what happened, claims to deeply regret his behaviour that day, and also claims to finally be rid of his personal demons. Going back to the total defence, the most likely scenario will be another number one contenders match, with the winner going on to have a title shot either later on in the show or on the next one. And that wraps it up for the first episode of the Fire Pro Online podcast. If you have reached this point, I thank you for listening and I hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, you can find more info about FPO on their Discord server and watch the shows via its YouTube page, links in the description. Until next time though, I'm Derek Beck, and I'm out of here.